Hello dear students of third prep science for second term. Welcome back with new lessons in this term, and we will start with the first lesson as we have here the unit 1, as we will talk about the chemical reactions. But let's go to welcome with Mr. Wائل. Hi Mr. Wائل, how are you?
Fine, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. You're welcome. Welcome back, our dear students, and we have to say congratulations for everyone who succeeded, who got a lot of marks.
Okay.
And full mark.
Yes, especially 4 marks.
Yes.
We have here Mustafa Ahmed, a full mark. We have Omnia Nagy, 19/20. We have Ibrar Anwar, full mark. We have Mu'tasim Marwan, 18/20. We have Ziad Mahran here. We have full mark. And you have what, Mr. Nader?
Yes.
Mr. Wائل, sorry.
Yara Mahsoub, congratulations, full mark. Yusuf Ihab, full mark. We have also Mariam Ibrahim, 19/20. We have Ihab Fauzi, 20/20. Rahma Ihab, 20/20. Peter Gergis, 19.5.
Okay. Okay, dear students, let's go to start with the first lesson as we have here to talk about the chemical reactions. But firstly, we will know how can we write the symbols or the chemical formula of some compounds. As we have from the previous lessons and the previous years, we have to write, for example, as H2O, CO2, something like that. And we studied before in the first prep the valency, to know how can we write the chemical formula of some compounds. Mr. Wائل, if you have to introduce this valences or this chemical formula of some compounds.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Okay, some students fall in some mistakes about that, like they can write Cu SO4, and sometimes some of you may write Cu2SO4. No, it's wrong. Why? What's the difference? Because this is a compound, so the valency of the whole compound must equal 0. What's meant by must equal 0, Mr. Muhammad? If Cu, the valency is positive 2, so another one, SO4, all SO4 must be negative 2.
Yes. So
the whole valency equal 0. But what is the difference between O2, 2O, and 3O2? O2 means one molecule. Each molecule of oxygen consists of 2 combined oxygen atoms. Yes. 2O means 2 separated atoms. 2 separated atoms. 3O2. 3 is due to number of molecules, 3 molecules. Each molecule combined or consists of 2 oxygen atoms combined together. So if I say 3Al2O3, how many, Mr. Muhammad, how many atoms of aluminium in this compound?
We have here 6 atoms of aluminium, and at the same time we have 3 times 3 equal 9 atoms of oxygen.
Yes, so we can know that by multiplication.
Yes.
Number of molecules, 3, by number of atoms in this molecule. So 3 by 2 equals 6 atoms, as you say, and 3 by 3 equal 9 oxygen. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
Okay. So here, dear students, let's go to start with the first part in this lesson as we will talk about the chemical reactions, and let's go to start with the first point. Okay, يلا نبص مع بعض. First unit, and we have lesson 1, chemical reactions. Number 1 here, we have to know what is meant by the chemical reactions. Chemical reaction, it is the breaking up or down of the reactants bonds, at the same time formation of new resultants bonds. So here we have 2 parts in any chemical reactions. عندنا جزئيتين أو 2 steps. Number 1, as we have here, we have reactants. On this side, we have what? We have reactants. and the other side we have the products or the resultants. Between them, the steps of the chemical reaction according to the type of the chemical reaction على حسب نوعه. So here we have what? We have here reactants. And on the other side we have the products. So here, dear students, we have breaking down the bonds between the reactants. بكسر البونز and form a new bonds between the products or what? Or the resultants. Resultants, which means the products. But at the same time here, dear students, we have many types of chemical reactions. We have no one type. We have many types of chemical reactions. As we have the first type of the chemical reactions as the thermal decomposition reactions. Okay, before we مثلا explain this definition, قبل ما نشرح الديفينيشن ده, we should translate the thermal decomposition reaction. يعني أترجم كلمة thermal which means heat, decomposition which means breaking down, reactions we know which means the chemical reaction. So here, how can we define the thermal decomposition reactions as the breaking down? مش أنا بقول decomposition, يبقى أنا هنا عندي number one breaking down. Breaking down of what? Of compounds by heating. By what? By heating. So here we're breaking down the compounds by heating into the simpler forms. Maybe this simpler form is elements, maybe another simpler compounds. As we use here, we use heat or طبعا as heat energy to decompose the compound into simpler one. So we have, as the compounds is broken up by what? Into simpler substance. طبعا هنا broken up by احنا لسه قايلين thermal decomposition reaction, يبقى the compound is broken up by heating. كده انا بقول الديفينيشن صح؟ into simpler substances. Into simpler substances. يعني maybe into elements, maybe into compounds. The first example here, dear students, as we have number one, 2HGO. Firstly, we should remember the symbols of the elements. We know Hg, which means mercury, and O, which means oxygen. So here we have mercuric oxide, and the color of mercuric oxide is red. So here we have to decompose mercuric oxide by using what here? By using heat. This triangle here, which means heating, تسخين يعني. So we have two another elements. As we decompose or breaking down the bonds between mercury and oxygen, forming Hg. How many Hg here? As Mr. Wائل said before, we have two mercury atoms. So we have 2Hg. Why not like that? ما بنكتبهاش كده ليه؟ 2Hg 2Hg not Hg2. Because we studied before. احنا خدنا قبل كده. Mercury is a metal, and any metal is monoatomic. Mono, which means one. So we have Hg, but here we have two atoms. So we have 2Hg. At the same time, we have how many oxygen here? We have 2 oxygen, 2O. But here we have oxygen as active gas. And any active gas is diatomic. So we have O2. And we write upright arrow like that because oxygen gas evolves. So if we can understand the chemical reactions, we can answer any type of chemical reactions, not just we write like that ان احنا نكتبها كده وخلاص. So here, dear students, we should know how can we deal with each type of the chemical reactions by using the steps. Firstly, we have the first type of the chemical reactions. We have here the thermal decomposition reaction, يعني breaking down of the compounds by heating into simpler substance. يعني بكسرها بالحرارة لحاجة أبسط منها. طيب, firstly, we have mercuric oxide. We have mercury and oxygen will decompose into mercury and oxygen. Here we have mercuric oxide as a compound. Its color is what? Is red. But mercury only as its color is silver color. Silver, not silver. Silver color. هو مش فضة. هو لونه فضي. As we use in thermometer, as we studied before in 6th primary, خدنا في 6th ابتدائي, mercury, its color is silver, and use in thermometer because mercury is a liquid metal, good conductor of heat. Okay, Mr. Wائل.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Another example.
Yes.
If I write thermal decomposition for copper oxide.
Yes.
What is the symbol of copper oxide? Copper, Cu. Oxide,
O.
O. Can I write, Mr. Muhammad, OCu?
No.
Why?
Because we start here with
Positive.
Positive
Yes.
as metal and end with non-metal as oxygen or active gas.
Okay, Mr. Muhammad. What's your opinion if I write it C capital, U capital? Can I write this?
No, because we have the two letters of the same element. So the first is small and sorry, is
First
capital.
one is capital, yeah.
And the second is small. Yes.
So I must write C capital, U small.
Yes.
And can I write copper oxide like this?
No.
O small?
No, because oxygen here is an element, and oxygen has only one letter, and this letter should be right. It is a must here to write as a capital letter. Yes.
Very good, Mr. Muhammad. Okay. If I want to write a chemical equation for this thermal decomposition, CuO, can I write something like that? What's wrong?
Because
Firstly,
here oxygen, firstly we have thermal decomposition. We should write triangle.
Yes.
Above the arrow. Yes.
Number two, what's wrong?
Because oxygen is diatomic, active gas. We have two oxygen, not only one.
Yes. As you said before, I must write O2.
Yes.
But there is another mistake.
We have no balance here in this chemical
Yes,
equation.
there is one, and now they are two.
Yes.
What can I write?
We can write 2 before the two elements. We
Yes.
have two ways here, but the easier one to write 2 before the two elements.
It's mistake. It's not good to write CuO2.
Yes.
Because Cu divalent.
Yes.
And oxygen divalent.
Di.
So they are equal. So I must write CuO. It will be Cu copper
Yes.
and oxygen gas. And I mustn't forget to write this arrow. This is like the example that you write now. Thank you, Mr.
Yes. Okay. Here we have to write or to watch this experiment that explain how can we زي ما هنشوف دلوقتي مع بعض how can we decompose by heating the mercuric oxide زي ما احنا هنشوف mercuric oxide here as we have decomposition reaction. We have here red mercuric oxide, okay, and red mercuric oxide by using heat here, by using this Bunsen flame, HGO, as we have 2HGO by heating will change into what? Into mercury, as here we have oxygen bubbles, and at the same time here we have some drops of silver color. How can we indicate the presence of oxygen here in this test tube? How can we indicate the presence of oxygen? By using مثلا flammable substance or using match, okay, or glowing splint, as you like. So here oxygen helps in burning but doesn't burn. So here we have, as you see, the flame here will increase. بصوا الفlame will increase because oxygen helps in burning but doesn't burn. As we have the final answer, HGO, as we have 2 HGO here, so 2 HG plus O2 as gas, and here 2 HG as a liquid metal. So dear students, here we can know how can we deal with the first example. We have another example here, as we have number 2, copper sulfate. Copper sulfate, its color is what? Is blue color. And its symbol is CuSO4. We know copper, Cu, and sulfate as radical here. So we have SO4. By heating, هسخنه طبعا هنا, to decompose by heating. So we have triangle here. What happened in this case? So we have CuO. And how many? عندنا تاني كده نشوفها تاني. How many copper? 1. How many sulfur? 1. How many oxygen? 4. Okay, so we have CuO. So we have 1 copper, 1 oxygen. So the rest is what? The rest here is SO3. So we have copper oxide, its color is black, and sulfur what? Trioxide. Sulfur what? Trioxide, not sulfur oxide, not sulfur dioxide, but sulfur trioxide. Okay, as we have another example, here we have copper carbonate. We can answer by the same way as the previous equation. Cu1 and carbon is 1. How many oxygen is 3? As the previous one, copper oxides. يبقى هكتب هنا ايه؟ CuO. Copper oxide, and its color is what? Mr. Wائل?
Black.
Black color. Okay. But here we have what? How many? We have CO2, because we have 1 carbon and 2 oxygen, because here we have 1 oxygen, so the chemical equation is balanced. Okay, Mr. Wائل, you have to mention any points in these equations or in this type of the chemical reactions. Okay.
Thank you for this opportunity. But I can ask our students now, from substance which you studied this year that has green color, how can you get black, not black, how can you get reddish brown color?
Reddish brown.
Reddish
yes.
brown.
Yes.
And we know what is reddish brown. It's the color of copper.
Yes.
What is green? This color of
copper sulfate. Yes.
Copper
carbonate.
green.
Sorry.
Yes.
Copper carbonate. Yes.
Copper carbonate.
Yes.
So this problem must be solved by 2 steps.
Yes.
2 equations. Number 1, thermal decomposition, as it is written on the monitor. CuCO3 decomposed by heat into CuO plus CO2. CuO, yes, CuO, it has black color. And may I make CuO thermal decomposition, another thermal decomposition for CuO,
yes,
that has black color,
yes,
into Cu plus O2. And Cu has reddish brown color. Thank you.
As here we have copper oxide, its color is black in this equation, Okay?
Yes.
And the copper only
Yes.
has reddish brown color.
Yes.
And oxygen colorless because oxygen as gas, as we studied before in primary stage. Thank you, Mr. Wائل.
Thank you.
Okay, here, dear students, we have to decompose the chemical compounds into simpler substance by using heat or by heating. Another example, here we have, as you see, sodium nitrate. الصوديوم بقى دايما انا بحب اقول الكلمه بالطريقه دي، يعني الكبر كده غلبان، دايما بياخد oxygen only one atom and left the rest، ويسيب الباقي. As we have here oxygen او copper get only one oxygen and left the rest، ويسيب الباقي carbon dioxide. Just take only one oxygen atom and leave the rest. But sodium not like that. Sodium is a monster، وحش. هياخد كل حاجة وهيسيب only one oxygen molecule. So here by heating sodium nitrate. Okay, we will complete this equation, dear students, after we have, then we will return back again. Welcome back, dear students. Let's go to complete our episode today with this equation, as we have to decompose sodium nitrate has white color into its simpler substances by using heat. So let's go with equation number 5. Here we have sodium nitrate has white color, as you see. We'll decompose into sodium nitrite because we have sodium as a monster here، زي ما قلنا وحش كده، هياخد كل حاجة 2Na NO2 and just leave oxygen molecule, oxygen gas evolve. So we have here what? Here we have sodium nitrate 2Na NO3. But here we have what? Here we have sodium nitrite, not nitrate. Sodium nitrite. And its color is yellowish white. As a song, sodium nitrite, yellowish white. Okay? And the rest is what here, as we have oxygen gas evolve. So we can deal with this type of equation as a thermal decomposition reaction. Sodium will take all but leave oxygen molecule here. We have sodium nitrate white into sodium nitrite yellowish white. Okay, Mr. Wائل.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Now, let's talk about some points here. What is the difference between O2, SO3, and SO4? O2 is an element. So, it's composed of two oxygen atoms combined together. SO3, it's a compound that consists of one sulfur atom combined with three oxygen atoms. Sulfur can be positive 6. Each oxygen atom negative 2, so they are equal. The whole valency here, the whole valency of SO3 equal 0. So SO3 is a compound. The whole valency of compound equals 0. But SO4, let's try. SO. Positive 6 for S, negative 2 for each oxygen atom. So the whole valency equal, for SO4 equal valency is negative 2. So what's the difference between SO3 and SO4? SO3 valency equals 0, so it is a compound. But valence of SO4 equal negative 2. Whatever, negative 1, negative 2, negative 4, positive, if there is a valency for two different types of atoms combined together, it is not compound. It is atomic group. What the importance of these words? I can't say CuSO3. It's wrong. I can say CuSO4 because SO4 negative 2, Cu positive 2, so now they form a compound. But let me, Mr. Muhammad, to give an idea about some atomic groups.
Yes.
We have OH, negative 1.
Yes.
It's called
hydroxyl.
Yes.
Yes.
Number 2, we have HCO3. It's called bicarbonate, negative 1.
Yes.
And we have NO3.
Nitrate.
That's what you said, yes.
Yes, nitrate.
Nitrate. And we have NO2. It's negative 1.
Nitrite.
It's nitrite. Monovalent. CO3.
Carbonate.
Carbonate. SO4.
Sulfate.
Sulfate, yes.
Yes.
And we have PO4.
Phosphate.
Yes, phosphate. It will be phosphorus is positive 5 and O4 2 by 4 equal negative 8, so it will be negative 3. We must be careful when we want to write a correct equation, and we have to be careful with dealing with this atomic group. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
Thank you, Mr. Wa'il. So, dear students, we have to remember, as we studied before in first prep, إعدادي, in the second term, the valences of some atomic groups and some elements. To remember, how can we write the chemical formula of these chemical compounds in this term or in this syllabus. We have here a video that explains the decomposition of green copper carbonate by heating. As we have green copper carbonate by heating will change into what? Into copper oxide. We have copper carbonate, its color is green, and we know copper will take only one oxygen atom and leave the rest. We see بالباقي. Here we have the rest. The rest is carbon dioxide, and we studied before in primary stage and in prep stage the indicate, how can we indicate the presence of carbon dioxide? By using a lime water. Lime water will change from clear into turbid. Here we have lime water, here we have carbon dioxide. هيخليها turbid يعني تتعكر. So here we have we indicate the presence of what? Of carbon dioxide as a result from this chemical, or from this chemical equation. As we have CuSO3 decompose into CuO and carbon dioxide gas evolve. Okay, dear students, عندنا بقى other equation here, as we have sodium nitrate, and we have to know sodium nitrate, its color is what? Is yellow, is white, sorry, change into yellowish white as we have sodium nitrite. نشوف كده مع بعض. We have sodium nitrate, its color is white. By heating, here, Bunsen flame in the lab will decompose into what? Into yellowish white, يعني أبيض مصفر. As sodium nitrite, as you see here, sodium nitrite yellowish white, لونه أبيض بقى not white بقى yellowish white يعني أبيض مصفر. And we have another result, as here we have oxygen. عندنا oxygen كمان هيخرج. And how can we indicate the presence of oxygen? By using what? By use glowing splint. يعني لو قربت glowing splint, the flame will increase. النار زادت due to the presence of what? Of here of oxygen. As you see here, the glowing splint لما نقربها هنا, the flame or the fire will increase due to the presence of oxygen. So here, dear students, as we see, we can understand the steps of the chemical reaction to know the results of the chemical reaction. We have another chemical equation here as the decomposition of copper hydroxide. And we know copper hydroxide is a blue color as copper sulfate بالظبط. And we know copper is what? Is divalent, and hydroxyl group is monovalent. So how can we write copper hydroxide? And how can we indicate, or how can we predict the resultants? نتوقع الانسر بتاعتنا by using the same steps. يعني انا هعتبر نفسي دلوقتي student and try to write the copper hydroxide, and by using thermal decomposition reaction, وهستخدم thermal decomposition reaction to decompose copper hydroxide into what and what. عندي two compounds. خلي بالنا في ال thermal decomposition reaction لازم يبقى فيه two at least، يعني two resultants. طيب لو انا خدتها هنا على الوايت بورد بتاعتي وعملت كده، نبص هنا مع بعض لو سمحتوا. عندنا هنا اهو CuOH copper hydroxide. We know the valency of copper is divalent, and the valency of hydroxide is monovalent. Okay. By using cross multiplication, as we studied before in first prep, we have here Cu1. هنكتب ال1؟ لا ما نكتبوش. And we have OH. OH will take here 2. So we have OH by 2. So we will decompose this compound by heating, and we know copper will take only one oxygen and leave the rest. So we have CuO as copper oxide. Its color is black. And what is the rest? الباقي بقى هيبقى ايه؟ الباقي هنا هيبقى Cu خلاص خرج، والO. Okay, so we have how many hydrogen? We have 2 hydrogen and we have 2 oxygen. صح؟ But we get 1 oxygen here. So the rest is what? The rest is 2 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. So we have here what? We have this, the most famous chemical formula is water. But here we have heating. So we will write here water vapor. طبعا بخار لأن في heating هنا. Okay, Mr. Wائل.
I noticed that you wrote CuOH.
Okay.
And you said that the valency of Cu is mono, di, and valency of OH -1. So you wrote CuOH, but now my question is, why you didn't write CuOH2? What is the difference between CuOH2 and CuOH by 2? CuOH2 means 1 Cu, 1 O, 2 H. But CuOH by 2 means CuOH, OH.
Yes, Mr.
So 2O and 2H. Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
Okay. So here, dear students, we know in this episode how can we deal with thermal decomposition reaction. And we know thermal decomposition reaction is the decomposition or breaking down the compounds by heating into simpler substances by heating. طبعا بكسر بالheating لأن في another equation as we studied before in second prep. We use electricity as Hoffman's voltameter. We use electricity to decompose water into hydrogen and oxygen. But here we use heating to decompose or to breaking down the compound into simpler substances. We have number 1, mercury oxide. Its color is red. Change into mercury. Its color is silver and oxygen. Number 2, we have copper sulfate and the copper hydroxide. Its color is blue. Both change into copper oxide. In the first case, copper sulfate with sulfur trioxide, and in the other or the second case with water vapor H2O. The last or the next step or next equation is copper carbonate, green color, change onto copper oxide, black, and the carbon dioxide. The last one from the thermal decomposition reaction is sodium nitrate. Its color is white. Change by heating into sodium nitrite. Its color is yellowish white, and the oxygen gas evolves. You have to last point in this episode, Mr. Wa'il, if you have to write about the airbags.
Yes,
okay.
Airbags. It's good life application.
Yes, airbags.
Yes, airbag that protected the driver of the car.
Yes.
It contains Na.
Sodium.
N3, yes. Sodium azide.
Yes.
This nitrogen is gas.
Yes.
Sodium is solid.
Solid, yes.
But NaN3 is not gas.
Yes.
Solid.
Here
but
we will use electric spark.
Yes.
Not thermal decomposition, as
yes,
we have to decompose, not by heating.
Yes.
Yes.
But it decomposes into 2Na and 3N2.
Yes.
So N is gas, it fills the bag. Thank you, Mr.
Protect the driver from any accident, as we have airbag. Why the airbag is suddenly blowing أو swell, تتنفخ بسرعة كده ليه؟ Because we have sodium azide inside. By using the electric spark, the sodium azide will decompose into sodium and the nitrogen. We have nitrogen is the most abundant gas in the atmospheric components, 78%. So the airbag will blow or swell suddenly to protect the driver from any accident as by يعني ربنا يعني يعافينا جميعا من اي حوادث سيارات بالذات يعني. So Mr. Wa'il, you have any other thing in this equation?
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad.
Okay. Here, dear students, we have to know the first type and we will repeat it again. Number one, we should remember how can understand the chemical formula. The number one. Number two, how can we deal with each one? عندنا الكبر just take one oxygen and left the rest. But sodium get all and left oxygen molecule, O2. And the simpler one as mercury oxide change into mercury to Hg and oxygen, as you see in the previous equation. And dear students, we should remember the colors. Mercury oxide is red, mercury is silver, copper carbonate is green, copper sulfate or copper hydroxide is blue, copper oxide is black, and طبعا عندنا sodium nitrate is white, sodium nitrite is yellowish white, but oxygen, carbon dioxide, water vapor has or have colorless. Thank you, Mr. Wa'il, for this great beginning or start in this episode.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad. Thank you, our dear student. Keep working for getting success more time.
Okay. Thank you, dear students, for following us, and we will return back again, inshallah, next week at Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. Thank you. See you soon. Goodbye.